Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Andy Ryder. He's the director of the Federal Budget Practice at Unison. Andy, good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
And you have written about the situation with budgeting and auditing and acquisition. They're kind of all interrelated in the federal government. But the situation for auditing is not very good right now. Tell us what's going on. Give us the sit rep.
Absolutely. So in June of 25, Director Vogt out of the Office of Management and Budget issued a memorandum, 25-30, that indicated that federal audits just don't work. And the reality of the situation is hundreds of millions of dollars are being expended annually to support audits that happen at the end of the fiscal year. And one of the big distinctions that have been identified in the memo, qualified by the Department of Government Efficiency, is that procurement oversight and even funds control seem to struggle even within the newer technologies that have been brought to bear. And so what we're dealing with is a situation where agencies are including and involving business analysts, budget analysts, and contracting analysts to try and outfit the system's lapses. So they're using data from disconnected systems, also using or acquiring information through Excel spreadsheets or the Office Productivity Suite to compile this information, making it quite difficult to ascertain a clean audit.
And this has its origin maybe way upstream in the whole process because of the fragmentation, as you've written, between budgeting and acquisition planning.
That's exactly
which
right.
are supposed to go hand in hand. What's the issue there?
That's exactly right. So the fragmentation is associated with the budget community using separate tools, the budget community using different timelines, and I would even go so far as using their own distinct lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
Funds control is natively responsible in the budget community, and downstream from that are when contracting officers get engaged to perform commitments and obligations that then eventually feed into the financial management system. All of this information is happening during the year of execution and creates opportunities for which audit awareness and audit readiness can be brought to bear. And I think one of the main purposes of the memo that was established back in June is to get agency heads to stand up and take notice that it's really critical to work audit responsibilities in process rather than post-process. What we want to be able to do is shift that pendulum from a post-process to an in-process solution that in essence is looking for hiccups or challenges that might occur in real time. That'll save taxpayers money by introducing these audit alerts through predictive monitoring that will crawl the information between the contracting community and the budgeting community, ensuring a heightened sense of funds control and a higher degree of data fidelity. This is what I think of, a kaleidoscope. If you and I look through the same kaleidoscope, you'll see a constellation of colors and patterns that are very different than what I see. When you look across the agencies, they too see very different data points throughout the year. While they may be thinking they're looking at the same information, it is quite clearly very different. And so it's really important that we create a line of sight from the appropriation that gets enacted from the president, all the way through apportionments and allotments, out to outlays and disbursements by Treasury. And that's long held nirvana, if you will, for agencies to achieve. And I suggest to the audience that they consider tying up their annual agency procurement pipeline to the spending plan or the operating plan that Congress requires.
Talk about what are the system challenges to make that a reality from the
absolutely.
Reality standpoint.
And we at Unison are proud to say that we've engineered a business ecosystem, a business system ecosystem that takes cost estimation. So if you think about independent government cost estimates that are performed inside the IT shops, those IGCEs that are conducted in capital outlays and capital expenses, that cost estimation capability blended with budget planning and analysis in a budget management platform, and then also interwoven with contract writing systems and an acquisition lifecycle, helps bring the compendium of data into one umbrella or one ecosystem that taps a single financial management system. And I think that's the critical distinction. There are three main financial management systems in use across the government today, 4 if you include PeopleSoft. The opportunity exists for outside of that FMS to bring together this compendium of applications between budget, between contracting, and between cost estimation to really help develop that single window pane or single version of the truth.
And do you envision migrating to a new platform, or does your platform overlay everything else and maybe use AI and agents and APIs and so forth to pull in?
Question. Great question. So artificial intelligence is infused into the Unison platform of products, and we continue to feed our LLM with appropriations law, with statutes, with the FAR, with the DFAR, agency-specific guidance. Feeding that information into our LLMs creates this backstop so that when transactions are happening across this ecosystem, there's constant monitoring of the information, looking for potential flags or challenges to notify through unique workflow established in our product those decision makers that have to make a decision. Through any number of conversations we've had with agency heads and budget officers in and around the Beltway and federal agencies, we've discovered that there really is a complication from when that appropriation occurs, and if that funding is multi-year funding and carries over from one year to the next, tracing that money through the commitments and obligations for the purchases of goods and services to support the government, and then outlays, that it's almost like a pinball machine. And trying to track that information across that pinball machine, if you're ever good with those flippers, then you'll be an excellent budget analyst. But the idea behind tracing that appropriation down through outlays is what's so critical and what I consider to be that line of sight that agencies so desperately need.